very good morning to all of you. And in the previous lecture, we have completed the chapter 1, that is unit and measurement. The physical world. Physical world chapter is completed. And in this class, we need to start chapter 2, that is units and measurement. And it is very interesting chapter actually. You will be learning a lot of new things in this chapter that you will be using in your day-to-day life. And also you will be doing a lot of math and numericals. So you will be getting yourself involved in this. A lot of theory is not there. A lot of practical things are there. So we'll be solving it up and we'll be finding it very interesting to learn. So let's start up the chapter. As the name suggests, that the chapter is units and measurement. So we should be knowing that what are units. The definition of unit should be known to us. And we should also be knowing this thing, that what do we mean by this thing that we are saying that it is measurement or measuring something. What is measurement? All right. So these two things should be known to us. Let's start with the definition of the unit. All right. So a unit, it can be defined as internationally accepted reference standard in terms of which a physical quantity is measured. So what is unit? A unit is a reference. All right. And this reference has to be internationally accepted. So it is a reference standard, and on the basis of this, a physical quantity is measured. For example, if you know kg, that what actually kg is. All right. Generally, when we go to the market, we ask for the vegetables and the fruits, and then we say the seller that, okay, give me 2 kg or give me 1 kg or 5 kg of certain fruits or vegetables. But 5 kg can only be given to you if someone knows what is 1 kg. Then 5 times that kg will give you 5 kg. All right. So that 1 kg has to be defined somewhere, that this much quantity of matter makes 1 kg. So it has to be defined somewhere. And that is that 1 kg has to be internationally accepted as well as should be followed internationally all over the world in the same manner. All right or not? So if you people are measuring 1 kg as different, and someone in France or Germany is measuring 1 kg as different, then it won't make any sense. It has to be common all over the world. So that's why someone has defined it, and that someone is some body of units and measurements is there, international body is there, and it defines each and every physical quantity. So that 1 kg, generally we go to the market and we see the people who are using the balances, they are using the 1 kg weight, that is black colored 1 kg weight, they are using it. So that 1 kg has to be standardized by someone, that this much amount is equal to 1 kg. All right. So that's why unit is a reference standard, and it has already been defined somewhere, and we are just using the definition in order to measure up the physical quantities. All right. So all the mass quantities can be measured in terms of kg. Similarly, the quantities which require the distance measurement, they are measured in terms of meters and kilometers. So somewhere meter is defined, that this much length is equal to 1 meter. All right. So that is what unit is. Unit is an internationally accepted reference standard. All over the world, it has been accepted, and it is a reference standard to measure a physical quantity. That if we know that, we can measure physical quantity in terms of that unit only. If we know kg, we can measure 100 kg. What is kg? We can, if we know the value of 1 kg or the definition of 1 kg, we can measure 100 kgs. Or if we know what distance is equal to 1 meter, we can measure up to thousands of meters. All right. So it has been defined somewhere that what is 1 meter, what is 1 second, even second is a unit for time. So we only see this thing in the clock, that when the second clock, it moves to 1 point, we say it is 1 second. So who has told this thing that it is only 1 second? All right. That duration is equal to 1 second. It has to be defined somewhere. All right or not? So we define up each and every unit, and on the basis of the definition of unit, we measure the physical quantity. For example, you can see that kg is a unit for mass and meter is a unit for length. Now, we people should know that what is measurement. I hope the definition of unit is quite clear to you. We will be learning about this measurement along with the definition of unit very soon with the help of an animation also. All right, so be with me. This measurement, it is the process of assigning a numerical value to a physical quantity. All right, so if you are having some physical quantity, if say for example you are having some amount of oranges, all right, and you want to weigh those oranges, so what you will do, you will weigh them and then you will measure them, measure the weight of them, all right, and then what you say that it is equal to this much kg, all right or not. So the process of assigning a numerical value, say for example you are having 20 oranges and you weigh them and you say that the weight of these 20 oranges, it is equal to 5 kg, all right or not. So you have assigned 5 number, all right, numerical value is 5 over here, you have assigned it, you have assigned a numerical value that is equal to 5, and you have also assigned a specified unit, that is kg. So you say that these 20 oranges, the mass of these 20 oranges is equal to 5 kg. So you have assigned a numerical value to it as along with the unit. Then you can say that you have measured those. You have measured the mass of those oranges. All right. So the process of assigning a numerical value to a physical quantity along with a specified unit is known as measurement. So in measurement, we are actually assigning some numerical value to a given physical quantity along with a specified unit. Unit has to be very much specific. You cannot measure the mass in terms of meter. Mass has to be measured in some unit of mass only. Similarly, distance cannot be measured in kgs. For measuring of the distance, there has to be some specified unit of length only, and that can be meter, centimeter, millimeter, kilometer, or whatever may be. All right. So this is measurement. In measurement, we actually assign a numerical value to a physical quantity and supply it with a proper unit. So that process is known as measurement. Let's study this with the help of an animation. We need to measure the length of this line segment. All right. For measuring this length, we should be knowing a unit. We have to be keeping in mind that there must be a particular unit for measuring of the line segment. So for that, I have taken 1 meter as a unit. So 1 meter is my unit. It has already been defined that this much length is equal to 1 meter. We know that this much length is equal to 1 meter. The length marked in blue. All right. So what I'll be doing, I'll be just multiplying the 1 meter length according to the distance that I need to measure. So this much length I have measured, it is 1 meter. Then again I have kept 1 meter because I know what is 1 meter. It has already been defined somewhere. So again I have measured 1 meter. Again it is 1 meter. Then again I need to measure this complete line segment now. So what I'll be doing, I'll be measuring 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter up to the end of this line segment. Let's see. Again I have measured 1 meter. Then again, because I know only 1 meter, I don't know what is a 8 meter or 10 meter. But in terms of this 1 meter, I can express it the length of this line segment. Also, again, I'm just moving towards the end of this line segment with my meter scale. And again, I have gone. And finally, when I have reached over here, the line segment gets completed and I come to know like this. It means that 7 times I have measured the meter scale. I have kept 7 times my meter scale, then the length of this line segment got covered. So I can say this thing that the length of this line segment is equal to 7 times 1 meter. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is 7 times a meter. So I can say the length is 7 meters. So when I say 7 meter, it means 7 times 1 meter, that is 7 multiplied by 1 meter. and I know what is this 1 meter. This has already been defined somewhere by the International Bureau of Weights and Measurements, or by the International Bureau of Measurements. It has already been defined somewhere that what is 1 meter. This much length is equal to 1 meter. And we will be learning about the definitions of meter, kilogram, and second, that how internationally they have defined it. All right. Similarly, 15 kg, it means 15 times 1 kg. So if I know 1 kg, I can easily be finding out 15 kg just by taking it 15 times. All right. So I hope this discussion is clear, that what is unit and what is measurement, and how we can carry out measurement with the help of the units that are already known to us. These units are internationally accepted and they have been defined somewhere by the bodies which govern the unit and measurement. All right. Let's move towards the definition of 1 meter. That what is 1 meter? All right. So let's see. 1 meter is the length of the path traveled by light in vacuum during a time interval of 1/299,792,458 fraction of a second. All right. So this much time of a second. In this much time of a second, the distance traveled by light is equal to 1 meter. So they have defined the meter in this fashion, that the distance traveled by light in 1/299,792,458 fraction of a second is known as 1 meter. And these definitions, you don't have to remember these definitions, just you have to keep somewhere in the back of your mind that these definitions are there, and the units like meter, kilogram, and second, and all other fundamental units, they have already been defined by the governing body of the units and measurement. All right. So you have to keep this thing in mind. It should not be the case that you have to remember or learn these definitions. Just keep in the back of your mind. No one is going to ask you to define this, but I do tell you this thing, that it will be better if you are remembering these, because these are very basic. So just keep this thing in your mind. Now let's define what is 1 second. All right. So 1 second is the time taken by 91926317770 oscillations of the light emitted by a cesium-133 atom. So we know one element is there, that is cesium. It is having one isotope known as cesium-133. So when the electrons of this isotope, they got excited and they came back to the ground state, they emit radiations, and the radiations of the light, they travel in the form of waves. So they oscillate. So the duration in which this much oscillations are carried out by the light emitted by cesium, that duration is known as 1 second. All right. So you can see that how fastly that light emitted by the cesium atom is oscillating. So in 1 second, it oscillates this much time. All right. So this is the definition of 1 second. I'm telling you again that the light emitted by cesium atom, when the excited electrons, they come back to the ground state, the oscillations carried out by the light, and if they carry out this much oscillation, the duration in which 91926317770 oscillations are carried out, that duration is known as 1 second. All right. Now let's define what is 1 kilogram. See, you don't need to write all these things up. All right. I will be sharing this PDF. I will be telling you what you need to write. All right. I will be telling you what you need to write for the thing that I have made you brought the notebook as well as the pen. We will be doing that math just in a while. So please don't think that you are lagging something. You will be writing it anyway when I'll be sharing of the PDF with you. Yes, someone has asked me some questions, so let me take that. Let's define what is 1 kilogram. So definition of 1 kilogram. 1 kilogram is the mass of a cylinder of platinum iridium alloy, which is kept at International Bureau of Weights and Measurement at Sèvres near Paris. All right. So 1 cylinder is there, which is kept at the International Bureau of Weights and Measurement in Paris. And this cylinder is made of platinum iridium alloy. The mass of this cylinder is known as 1 kilogram. You can see this is that cylinder. So it is kept over there. So this mass, the mass of this cylinder is equal to 1 kilogram. So they have defined it because they wanted that this much mass has to be equal to 1 kg. So let's define it as 1 kg. So for the definition of 1 kg, what they have done, they have taken a platinum iridium cylinder and the mass of this cylinder is equal to 1 kilogram. All right, you can see it on your screen. This is the cylinder that is kept in the International Bureau of Weights and Measurement in Paris, that is in France. All right, so that mass is equal to 1 kg. The mass of this cylinder is equal to 1 kg, and all the other weights that we are seeing in the shop, they have been derived from this mass only. All right. So these are the definition of meter, second, and kilogram. You don't need to cram it up, don't need to mug it up. Just you have to keep in your mind that the definition goes like this. All right. Let's move towards the types of physical quantities. So in units and measurement, we have to deal with different type of physical quantities. So there are two types of quantities which we generally deal in physics. One is the fundamental quantities and other one is the derived quantities. The fundamental quantities are those quantities which are independent on their own. They do not require any other quantities for their representation. These quantities are very much independent and they can be represented on their own. For example, length. In order to measure length, we do not need to measure anything else. Just we need to measure the distance between the 2 points. All right. So length is a fundamental quantity. Similarly, in order to measure the mass, we have to know the quantity of matter contained in a substance. We do not need to measure any other quantity in order to measure mass. That's why mass is a fundamental quantity. All right. Time is also a fundamental quantity. Temperature is also a fundamental quantity. So in an all, there are 7 fundamental quantities, and all the other quantities, they have been derived from these 7 fundamental quantities, and that's why they are known as derived quantities. You will be getting to know about this in a more clear manner when you will be comparing it with the derived quantities. All right. Let me give you an example of derived quantity here only. That length is a fundamental quantity because in order to measure length, we just need to measure the distance between the 2 points. But if we need to measure the density, then density is equal to mass upon volume. All right. So we need to measure the mass and we need to measure the volume. It means density is derived from 2 different quantities. One is mass and other one is volume. That's why it is a derived quantity. But in order to measure length, we only just need to measure the distance between the 2 points only. That's why it is independent quantity, and that's why it is known as fundamental quantity. All right. And in order to supplement the fundamental quantities, we are having the fundamental units. These are the units which are used to measure the fundamental quantities. The units which are used to measure the fundamental quantities are known as fundamental units, and they do not require any other units for the representation. All right. So you can see for measuring length, we can have meter as a unit. So meter is a fundamental unit. Kilogram is a fundamental unit because it is used to measure a fundamental quantity mass. Similarly, second is a fundamental unit for time. All right. You can see the fundamental quantities and the fundamental units. The units which are used to measure the fundamental quantities are known as fundamental units. Similarly, we are having the derived units. The derived units are, the derived quantities first we need to go through, and then we'll be moving towards the derived units. So the derived quantities are the quantities which are dependent on the fundamental quantity. That is, they require the fundamental quantities for their representation. For example, area. So if I need to measure area, I need to measure length, I need to measure breadth. So length multiplied by breadth gives you the area. So in order to measure area, I need to measure length, and again I need to measure length. So it depends on the length, all right, or the breadth. Similarly, volume. Volume is a derived quantity because you get the volume by length multiplied by breadth multiplied by height. So it depends on three distances, all right or not? Length is a fundamental quantity, but volume is a derived quantity because we derive volume by measuring three different lengths. Similarly, density. Density is mass upon volume. So mass is a fundamental quantity and volume is a derived quantity. So it is the ratio of mass to volume. So again a derived quantity. Velocity. Velocity is also a derived quantity because it is displacement upon time. Displacement is some kind of length. All right. And it has been derived by measuring by division of two fundamental quantities, that is displacement upon time. So it is a derived quantity. Velocity is equal to displacement upon time. So one is displacement, other one is time. You are dividing two fundamental quantities in order to get the velocity. That's why we can say that all these quantities, they are dependent on the fundamental quantities for their representation. And the units which are used to measure the derived quantities are known as derived units. Please make it derived units, not fundamental. All right, it's been written over here as fundamental. I need to change it up. We are the derived units. All right. So the units which are used to measure the derived quantities, they are known as derived units, and they require some fundamental quantities for their representation. All right. They require some fundamental units for their representation. So all the units, derived units, they require the fundamental units. For example, the unit of velocity is meter per second. So meter is a fundamental unit for length, and time is the fundamental unit for, second is the fundamental unit for time. So the fundamental unit for velocity is meter per second. That is a derived unit. So meter per second has been derived from two fundamental units. All right. So let's see the examples of derived units. Meter square, meter multiplied by meter. So it has been derived from 2 meters. All right. Volume has a unit meter cube. So it is a derived unit. Meter multiplied by meter multiplied by meter. Similarly, kilogram per meter cube is the unit for density. So kg is the fundamental unit for mass, and meter is the fundamental unit for length. That's why it is a derived unit. It has been derived from two fundamental units. Similarly, meter per second is a derived unit for velocity. Meter is the fundamental unit for length, and time for time, the fundamental unit is second. That's why it is meter per second. I hope these things are clear. We are having two types of quantities. One is fundamental quantities, other one is derived quantities. There are only 7 fundamental quantities that exist till now in physics. All right. We are having only 7 fundamental quantities, and all the other quantities, they have been derived. We will be learning about those 7 fundamental quantities in a while. They are also known as basic quantities. Sometimes they are known as basic quantities. All right. So all the other units or all the other quantities are derived from the fundamental quantities. Now let's learn something about the system of units. So in earlier times, the scientists used to measure up the quantities with different systems, but now we are measuring only in the SI system. But earlier we used to measure the physical quantities by using different units in different countries. So let's have a glimpse of those systems. First is the CGS system. The CGS means centimeter, gram, second. The second one is the FPS system, foot, pound, second. It is also known as British system. All right. And this CGS system is also known as Gaussian system. Sometimes they use it Gaussian system. So the CGS system, centimeter gram second system. FPS, F stands for foot, P for pound, and S for second. So foot pound second system. And the one is the MKS system. Okay, let me take a question first. Someone has asked something. Okay, so the third one is the MKS system. That is meter kilogram second system. So in CGS system, what we follow? Centimeter is for length, gram is for mass, and second is for time. That is CGS. Similarly, in FPS system, we write foot for length, pound for mass, and second is for time. See, the abbreviation that we are using for pound is LBS. Please note this because it's a different one. So the pound, the abbreviation for the unit pound is LBS. It is not starting with P because pound in itself is a abbreviation, okay, of libra pondo. So that's this LBS stands for libra actually. So it was a Latin term for the pound, libra pondo. So from that we have derived pound, and the unit remains as this symbol for the representation of unit. It remains as LBS only. All right, and then MKS system. In MKS system, we are having meter for length, kilogram for mass, and second for time. All these systems were earlier used, but now the scientists, they are using only one system, that is the SI system. But sometimes we need to convert up the things. That's why the knowledge of the system is very useful. We used to convert up the units sometimes, maybe in CGS, from CGS to the SI system, or from the SI to the CGS system. So that's why the knowledge is really very essential for you people. Okay, now let's move towards the SI system of units. So the SI system of units is the internationally accepted system at present, and SI stands for Système International des Unités. Okay, that is French for International System of Units, and that's why it is abbreviated as SI. All right, so SI full form is Système International des Unités. All right, and it's a French term, so we'll be just using is that. We won't be using the French term. We will be using the International System of Units. All right, but the abbreviation is SI only. And when this SI has come into force? In 1971, a conference was held. The conference was on weights and measurements, and then they have decided that from now onwards we'll be using the standard schemes of symbols, the units, and the abbreviations for the measurements that will be carried out in the scientific, technical, industrial, and commercial work. All right. So whatever be the measurements they are carried out in any field, they will be following the SI system. Okay, and that has been formulated by this body in 1971. The SI unit, it consists of SI system. It consists of what? 7 fundamental units and 2 supplementary units. It must be SI system, not unit. SI system, it consists of 7 fundamental units and 2 supplementary units. All right. So let's talk about the 7 fundamental units of the SI system. So these are the 7 fundamental units of the SI system. The length, and the SI unit is meter. Symbol for the length is small m. All right. And I've also mentioned the 4th column, that is a dimensional symbol. That will be of greater use to you. All right. So this dimensional symbol, it will be really very much useful to you when we'll be talking about the dimensional analysis. So in this lecture only we are dealing with the dimensional analysis. Please draw this table in your notebook. I'm giving you 2-3 minutes. Please draw it in your notebook, and then I'll coming back. All right. Please draw it. See, these are the 7 fundamental quantities along with the 7 fundamental units of the SI system. These are also known as the basic quantity. So in SI system, length is measured in meter. The symbol for this is small m, and the dimensional symbol is capital L. All right. Mass is measured in kilogram, and symbol is kg. You are having dimensional symbol of mass as capital M. For the time, it is second. Symbol is small s. and dimensional symbol is capital T. Similarly, for temperature, it is measured in Kelvin. Symbol is capital K, and dimensional symbol is also capital K. For electric current, it is measured in ampere. Symbol is capital A, and the dimensional symbol is also capital A. Luminous intensity, it is measured in candela. Symbol is CD. Dimensional symbol is also CD. Amount of substance, SI unit is mole. The symbol for mole is MOL, and the dimensional symbol is also MOL. All right. So these are the 7 fundamental quantities along with the 7 fundamental units that we are using in SI system. And you have to keep these things in mind, that what are the symbols and the dimensional symbols. And most importantly, the dimensional symbol, because we will be using these dimensional symbols in just the dimensional analysis that we are going to do next. All right. So let's start with the dimensional analysis. I'll be taking up your questions at the end of the lesson. All right. And please be ready with your notebook. We'll be solving a math a bit. All right. The dimensional analysis. Let's see what dimensional analysis is. In dimensional analysis, what we do, we write the quantities in terms of their dimensions. All right. So in dimensional analysis, we write the quantities in terms of their dimensions. So the dimensions of a physical quantity, it represents that how the quantity is related to the 7 fundamental or the basic quantities. The 7 quantities that we have just learned, they have drawn the table for the 7 quantities. All the other quantities, they are related to some or more of these quantities only. So the dimensions of any physical quantity, it tells us this thing, that how that quantity is related to the 7 basic quantities. All right. So for that, what we do, we write a dimensional formula. For that, we write a dimensional formula. So every quantity that is existing in terms of physics, we can be able to express that physical quantity in terms of the dimensional formula of the quantity. All right. So for example, if velocity is there, we can write the dimensional formula for velocity. Acceleration, we can write the dimensional formula for acceleration. Power, we can write the dimensional formula for power. So all these quantities, whatever the quantities you have learned, momentum, energy, work, all right, density. So whatever be the quantities you have learned, you can easily be writing the dimensional formula for those quantities. All right. Any physical quantity in this physical world can be expressed in terms of the dimensions of the 7 basic or the fundamental quantities. The dimensions we have studied of the basic quantities. We have studied the 4th column that was of dimensions of the given quantities. So in terms of those dimensions, we can express the physical quantities that are existing. So that formula is known as dimensional formula. So the definition of dimensional formula, it says like this: the expression of a physical quantity in terms of the power raised to MLT. So MLT what? These are the dimensions for mass, length and time, etc. enclosed in square brackets. So if I write some quantity with some power raised to the dimensional symbols of the 7 fundamental or the basic quantities and then enclose it in the square bracket, that expression is known as the dimensional formula for the given physical quantity. For example, just see density. Density is a quantity that is equal to mass upon volume. All right. So that is equal to mass upon length into breadth into height. So for mass, I can write the dimensional symbol as capital M, because the symbol for mass, dimensional symbol for mass is capital M. So in place of this mass, I can write capital M as the dimensional symbol. Length, it has a dimensional symbol capital L. Also breadth is there. So breadth is a type of length only. It's a type of distance. So distance, it has a dimensional symbol as capital L. Also height is a type of distance. All right. So it is also having a dimensional symbol as L. So it becomes capital M upon L multiplied by L multiplied by L in terms of dimensions. So I can write it like this: M upon L cube. L multiplied by L multiplied by L it becomes m upon L cube, and this L to the power 3 in denominator, when it goes to the numerator, it becomes L to the power minus 3. So ml minus 3, all right or not? And you can write it like this. Density, the dimensional formula for density is equal to ml minus 3. See how you have to read it? When you are enclosing the quantity in the square bracket, you have to read it like this, the dimensional formula for density. So this is what the expression is. If you enclose something in square bracket, it becomes a dimensional formula. So it's the dimensional formula for density is ml minus 3. All right. So if some quantity you can express in terms of the dimensional symbols of the 7 basic quantities, and then you enclose that expression in terms of brackets, in square brackets, then that expression gives you the dimensional formula for a given physical quantity. Now we have to go through the dimensional formula of various quantities, and we have to learn them. We have to learn them by heart, because without knowing the dimensional formula for the physical quantities, we won't be able to solve up the questions that are based on the dimensional analysis. Okay, so let's find out the dimensional formula for some important physical quantities that we will be dealing in the questions to come, and that are in our syllabus also. So we have to learn them up. So I'll be just giving you the glimpse that how you people can be able to find out the dimensional formula for different physical quantities. All right. So let's do that. Okay, let's do that. And please be prepared with your pen and notebook. One more thing I want to tell you is that the dimensions of a physical quantity remains unchanged no matter what formula you are using to derive the dimension. For example, energy. If you are finding the dimensions for energy, you can be using the formula for potential energy, that is mgh. You can also be using the formula for kinetic energy, that is half mv square. You can also be using the formula for spring energy or any other energy. So every energy has the same dimensions. It does not matter at all what formula you have used to calculate the dimensions for a given physical quantity. So if you are finding the dimensions of energy with half mv square, it will be same. If you are finding the dimensions for energy with mgh, it will be the same. All right. So the dimensions, they do not depend on the formula. For a given physical quantity, the dimensions, they remain same. All right. Now let's try to find out the dimensional formula of some important physical quantities, and you have to do this along with me in your notebook. So please be prepared. All right. Let's start. First quantity that we need to deal is velocity. First of all, you have to write the formula for velocity. Velocity is equal to displacement upon time. All right, we know this. What is the dimensional formula for displacement? It is L, because displacement is some kind of length. And what is the dimensional formula for time? It is capital T. So we can be writing it as L by T. All right. So it becomes like this, L by T. And when this T goes into the numerator, it becomes LT minus 1. Now you can write the dimensional formula for velocity is equal to LT minus 1. When you put it in the square bracket, you have to read it like this. Dimensional formula for velocity is equal to LT minus 1. Let's take the second physical quantity, and this physical quantity is acceleration. We know the formula for acceleration is change in velocity upon time. We know this very well. All right or not? So acceleration is change in velocity upon time. So change in velocity means that there is dimension of velocity, because when you subtract velocity from velocity, it becomes velocity only. All right or not? So change in velocity is having the dimension of velocity. So in numerator, we are having the dimension of velocity. So in place of this change in velocity, we can write LT minus 1, because the dimension of velocity is LT minus 1 that we have just derived. We can write it like this, LT minus 1. And for time, the dimension is capital T. So it can be written as LT minus 2. All right or not? And then finally, you have to write it with the expression that the dimensional formula for acceleration is equal to LT minus 2. All right. So this expression in the square bracket, it can be read like this. Dimensional formula of acceleration is equal to LT minus 2. Let's take the third physical quantity, that is force. And we all know this thing, that force is equal to mass multiplied by acceleration, F equal to ma. In 9th class, you have read this formula, F is equal to ma. So force is equal to mass multiplied by acceleration. So for mass, we are having capital M, and for acceleration, we are having the dimensional formula as LT minus 2. So it can be written as like this, M multiplied by LT minus 2, right or not? And when it is M multiplied by LT minus 2, you can be writing it like this. The dimension for force, or the dimensional formula for force, is equal to MLT minus 2. All right or not? Very simple to find. You have to remember these final results. For velocity, LT minus 1. For acceleration, LT minus 2. For force, MLT minus 2. You have to remember it. All right. Let's take the work. We know work done is equal to force into displacement. We know this. In class 9, we have studied W equal to F into D. So the dimensional formula for force, we have just find out, it is ML T minus 2. We can write it like this. For force, it is ML T minus 2. And for displacement, it is L. All right or not? So you can write it like this, ML T minus 2. And for displacement, it is L multiplied by L. So it becomes ML2 T minus 2. Because this L and this L will get multiplied and becomes L square. So it becomes, the dimensional formula for work is equal to ML2 T minus 2. All right or not? I hope it is clear. ML2 T minus 2. Let's take another physical quantity, that is energy. Okay. So energy, I am just taking the example of kinetic energy over here. So kinetic energy is a kind of energy. Let's find out the dimensions for energy with the help of the formula for kinetic energy. You can also be doing it with the help of potential energy. This half mv square, half do not have any dimension. It is a constant, and constant do not have any dimension. So we will be just writing the dimension for the physical quantities that are involved in the expression. It becomes, for mass, the dimensional formula is m. And for velocity square, velocity we know, we have found out velocity is LT minus 1. You can see it in your notebook. For velocity, we have obtained the dimensional formula as LT minus 1. So velocity square becomes LT minus 1 square. All right. And when you solve this bracket, it becomes M L2 T minus 2. Because this 2, it multiplies with the terms inside the bracket, and the power of L becomes 2 and T becomes minus 2. It becomes ML2 T minus 2. And the dimensions for energy, again, it comes out to be ML2 T minus 2. You can see this thing, that work and the energy, they are having the same dimensional formula. You can see both energy and work has the same dimensional formula. And that's why we say this, that work then gets stored in the form of energy, because more or less they are the same thing. And also they are having the same units. Work done is measured in terms of joule, and energy is also measured in terms of joule. That's why they are having the same dimensional formula. Next, let's take power. And power, we know the formula for power is energy upon time, or work done upon time. All right. Power is equal to work done upon time. Rate of doing work is power. All right. We know the dimensional formula for work. It is ML2 T minus 2. So in numerator, we can write ML2 T minus 2. And for time, we know it is capital T. When you solve it out, this T in the numerator, it increases up this power because it becomes minus, and it becomes mL2 t minus 3. All right. So this is the dimensional formula for power. We can write it like this. Dimensional formula for power is mL2 t minus 3. All right. So this is how you need to find the dimensions for various physical quantities. Power is work done upon time. In place of work, I have written mL2 t minus 2, the dimensional formula for work. And in place of time, I have written the dimensional formula for time. It becomes mL2 t minus 3. It is the dimensional formula for power. All right. Let's take one another example. Density. I've already told you about density. Density is mass upon volume. For mass, dimension is capital M. For volume, it is L cube, because length multiplied by breadth multiplied by height, and breadth and height, they are some type of distance only. So they have the dimension as L. So it becomes M upon L3, and it is ML minus 3. Again, when you try to write it in the form of dimensional formula, you have to write it like this. The dimensional formula for density is equal to ML minus 3. I hope that up to this, it is very much clear to you. All right. And you have also written it in your notebook. Now, let's move towards some other quantities. Only 3 more quantities we'll be doing in this lecture, and then I'll be taking up your questions. Let's take momentum. Momentum, we know it is mass into velocity. Momentum is mass into velocity. For mass, the dimensional formula is capital M. For velocity, it is LT minus 1. So we can write mass for M for mass, and for velocity, it is LT minus 1. So it becomes MLT minus 1. And we can write it like this. The dimensional formula for momentum is equal to MLT minus 1. All right. Now, let's take pressure. Pressure is force upon area. We know the dimensions for force. That is MLT minus 2. And for area, it is L square. So it becomes M. It becomes M L minus 1 T minus 2. Okay, if someone is asking something, sir, why we are using square brackets, let's explain again. The meaning of the square bracket is, we will be reading it like this. The dimensional formula of momentum. It is momentum only, but when it is enclosed in square brackets, it is dimensional formula for momentum. All right. That's why we are writing it like this. Fine. So the dimensional formula for pressure, let's come back to this. Force upon area, MLT minus 2 upon L2. And again, when it is goes in the numerator, it becomes M L minus 1 T minus 2. So we can write with the square brackets, it means this is only pressure. But with the square bracket, it means the dimensional formula for pressure. Okay. And Shreya is asking, cannot area of a circle? Beta, every area, whether it is of a circle or all right, or a triangle or a square, they are having the dimensions as L square only. And if you are writing the area of a circle, that is pi r square. All right. Pi is a constant. It do not have a dimension, and r square is length multiplied by length. Radius is some type of length. Then again it becomes L square. I hope it is clear to you, Shreya, that when you are taking the area of a circle, that is pi r square. Pi is a constant. It do not have a dimension. Constants do not have any dimensions. All right. And then r square, just a length multiplied by length. That is all, again the dimension comes out to be L square. All right. Okay. Lipika wants to say something. Beta, I'll be taking up your question in a while only. All right. The pressure, it becomes, we are not using curly brackets because it is the standard. It has been told to us that you have to write the dimensional formula like this only. All right. That is what they have standardized. That's why we need to use the square bracket. Let's take the last physical quantity for this lecture. Frequency, denoted by nu. We know frequency is number of waves per unit time, and the number of waves, they are some kind of number, so they don't be having any they won't be having any dimensions. So we'll be just writing 1 in place of them, and time can be represented as t. So it can be represented as t minus 1. So we can write the dimensional formula for frequency is equal to t minus 1. All right. One more thing that I want to tell you, that in this t minus 1 dimensions, m term is missing and L term is also missing. Similarly, when we have found out the dimensions of density, t term was not there. So those dimensional symbols which are not appearing in the formula, or which are not appearing in the dimensional formula, they can be written with the power raised to them as 0. So if you make a power 0 raised to them, then it is 1 only. So you can see it's the quantities which are not present in the dimensional formula, they can be written with the help of a power raised to them as 0. All right. For example, frequency. So you can write this frequency as m0 L0 t minus 1. Because m is not there, so something raised to power 0 is 1 only. L is not there, something raised to power 0 is 1 only. So you can write the dimensional formula in this manner also. The dimensional quantities which are not present, the dimensions which are not present in the physical quantity, they can be written with the help of power raised as 0 to them. All right. And density, the dimensional formula for density is ml minus 3. You can write it as ml minus 3 t0 because t was not there. All right. So those dimensions which are not there in some quantity, they can be written with the help of power raised to them as 0. So you can write them, but you have to make their power as 0 because something raised to power 0 is 1. So this is all from my side for today. I'll be taking up your questions. So first I'll be answering Lipika what you want to ask, and then I'll be coming back to you. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you for joining up the class, and I hope that you will be solving up the things a bit. And thank you for joining. Thanks a lot. Please be safe at your home. Thank you once again. I'll be sharing up this PDF very soon. Thank you.